All right, so good morning, and we'll get started. So just having a few blocks. It's my intention to get to the pigeon pose today. So if you have any props you'd like to use for the pigeon, having those. So I don't know, sometimes I have intentions of what we're doing in the class and things go somewhere differently. Anyway, we're starting in Sukhasana with the cross legs. Oh, and using those arms alongside, lengthening up, getting space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets, whatever little shifting and swinging you want to do. And then we will finish with that, letting the hands rest on the knees. Inhale and exhale. We'll extend up through the center line. Letting go with the shoulders, with the face and the jaw. So it's kind of like a fountain. We draw up the center and then pour off down the sides. You can feel like your breath is doing that as we inhale up the center, exhale, pouring down the sides. And you can soften or close your eyes. Really feeling that breath and that image of the fountain rising up and then expanding out and down is a good one for you. You can stay with that. And we'll open the eyes, reaching wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Inhale and exhale, breathing those arms up. Inhale and exhale, breathing them down. Let's do that twice more. And we'll change the cross of the legs. Coming forward and over, breathing across the back of the body. And then come up through with five vertebrae, back up on top of the sitting bone. Let's reach out wide through the arms and we'll take a side bend. So I'm being the right left mirror at the moment as we breathe up through our right arm, up and over to the left. And up, and then from left arm up and over to the right. And let's slide those legs straight out in front in Dandasana, standing on the opposite wall. And then coming forward any amount, whatever you have at this moment, whatever seems useful, maybe pushing from the hands behind or on the floor on your legs. Inhale, making space. Exhale, gently extending yourself into the space. And let's pull the legs back into Baddha Konasana, standing on the feet, reaching out the inner thighs through the knees. Let's come forward once again, lengthening up, reaching out and over. Try not to squinch in too much. As much space, spaciousness and expanding outward as you can. And then no, so I'm going to continue to be the right left mirror. As we take our arms behind, I'm going to take the left leg up and over into Virabhadrasana, left ankle in the arch of the right foot, and then twisting to the right. Now lift up with that right arm, coming back around to the front, unfolding that left leg back to Baddha Konasana for a moment. And then we'll take the right leg across to the left, twisting to the left. And a big reach up with the left arm, coming back to the front, taking that right leg back out to Baddha Konasana, and then we'll slide the legs back out to Dandasana, and then coming forward and over. And coming up, drawing your legs back into Baddha Konasana, and coming forward and over. And coming up, so let's twist to the left first this time, taking your hands behind, bringing the right leg across to the left and around, twisting to the left. And then left arm takes a big reach up and over, coming back to Baddha Konasana. And then the left leg comes over to the right, twisting to the right. And right arm lifts up. Bringing you back to Baddha Konasana. Widening the legs back out to straight Dandasana. Coming forward and over the straight legs, Paschimottanasana. And coming up, drawing the legs back into Baddha Konasana. And coming forward. And coming up. And let's twist to the right first. Bring the left leg across, twisting right. Big lift up with the right arm, coming back to Baddha Konasana. And then right leg over, twisting to the left. And left arm, a big reach over, back to Baddha Konasana. And we'll slide the legs out to Dandasana. And let's do that once more round. And we'll start with the left wrist coming forward. And coming up, bringing the legs back, Baddha Konasana, coming forward, pressing down and out with those elbows. And coming up, twisting to the left, right leg comes across. Big reach up and over with that left arm, Baddha Konasana. And then left leg comes over to the right, twisting to the right. And the right arm lifts up. Back to Baddha Konasana. Sliding the legs out straight in front, Dandasana. And then we'll come forward and over once more. And and let's come around onto all fours and then walk the knees back. We're going to go into the sort of kneeling half downward facing dog, sometimes called the puppy pose. So the knees and hands are pretty far apart as we pull back. So we're not going to come all the way into child's pose. Suspended somewhere in between, and then really press those hands down into the floor. And here, without a lot of weight on our arms, can you really press into the knuckles to the fingertips, maybe even give that wrist a little quarter of an inch lift off the floor there. Upper arm squeezing toward the ears and trying to press up a little toward the ceiling as that upper chest presses down. And then letting yourself settle back into child's pose for a couple breaths. And coming up in downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Maybe a little dog walking or anything else you want to do. And then here we are in the best downward facing dog of this moment. See if you can press a little more out through the knuckles and fingertips. So you probably can't literally lift up the base of the wrist here in downward facing dog. We're trying to feel some of that extend and lift like we could do when we are on our knees. And then once again, coming down, long sit back into child's pose, deep breath. Let's come forward into the Sphinx. Flatten out the front of the hips along the floor. Imagining you have a block there under the sacrum, like when we lie on the block under the sacrum. And we're doing that from the ceiling. Standing long, pelvis into the floor, long reach down through the top of the thighs. Maybe there's a little more lift in the elbows, a little more cobra-like. And coming down, forehead or chin on the hands for a moment. And then we will make our way back up to downward facing dog. And if you want, going through the Vinyasa in version or just breathing in downward facing dog. All right, let's lift our right leg up, reaching long through the heel, reaching down through the left heel. Bending the right knee, dog at the high fire height. And through to the lunge. And we'll bring that left knee down. We're going to keep our left hand on the floor as we twist to the right. Really pressing into the front of the left hip joint as we pull up in the way through the front of the right shoulder joint. And then a big reach around with that right arm to the floor, and we will step forward into the concave back halfway up, holding over, taking a couple breaths here in the forward bend, with as much bend in the knees as you need, maybe using a block. And then we'll come up to standing, big front body yawn. And pressing the arms down long through the top of the head. Circling the shoulders to interlock the fingers, lengthening up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin, and then coming over, pressing away through the backs of the hands. And releasing the hands. Let's step back with our left leg, so we're still in the right lunge. We're going to go to the side angle pose, Parsvakonasana as a twist. So putting the right arm inside the right leg, left foot turns to 90 degrees. You can hold on to your ankle if you want, or put your right hand on the block as we twist open to the left, arm reaching straight up from the shoulder. And if you need to come up higher with that right elbow on the knee, doing that. And then really press that left arm open more, reach it behind a big, about 3/4 half circle down, turning to the lunge. And we're going to bring our left knee down and then Vinyasa once again. And then coming up, both arms up. And then we'll bring both arms all the way around and back up overhead. And Namaste in front. And stepping back to the plank. And you can go through the vinyasa, or maybe just holding the plank. That's a good version of the vinyasa, or any other sort of version you want to do. And then we will all be meeting up in downward facing dog. All right, and let's go around with our left leg, lifting the left leg up. Bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrants. And through to the lunge. And we'll bring the right knee down, keeping the right hand on the floor as we twist to the left. Pressing forward and down, reaching up and back. And then big reach around with that left arm, and we will step forward. Into the concave back, halfway up. Holding over, taking a few breaths here in the forward bend. And coming all the way up to standing, big front body long. Pressing the arms down long through the top of the head. Let's circle the shoulders to interlock the fingers behind. Lifting up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. And coming forward. Releasing the hands. And we'll step back with the right leg, so we're in our left lunge again. And headed to a twist Parsvakonasana, left arm inside the left leg, turning the right foot at 90 degrees. You can hold on to your ankle, that makes a good prop, maybe left hand on a block. And you can draw that left elbow up onto the knee as we twist to the right and put ourselves into a Parsvakonasana side angle. And then a big reach around with the right arm. Into the lunge forward and bringing the right knee down. Vinyasa, the kneeling lunge with both arms up. And then both arms going around and back up overhead. And Namaste. Stepping back to the plank. And then through the Vinyasa inversion, downward facing dog. Taking 3 deep breaths here in this best downward facing dog of this moment. Coming down, sitting back in child's pose. And then sliding forward onto our stomach into the Sphinx again. Lengthening out along the floor. Reaching back through the toes. And then we'll make our way down, but pull the elbows up and back. Bringing the hands and arms into the cobra position. Squeezed alongside, elbows have a sort of up and back feeling. And then coming up in the cobra, we're going to hold 4, 3, 2. Can you lighten up on the hands if you're pushing hard there? And 3. Wait, where was I? 2, 1. One more breath. And coming down. And then let's do the giant bug cobra, bringing the hands out across from the shoulders, standing on the pads of the fingers or maybe the flat hand, dropping the chin, ripple up, and if your arms get really straight, taking a pull wide and a little press forward with the elbows again, and breathing here. 4, 3, 2, and 1. On and down. And then we will make our way back up to downward facing dog. Maybe a couple cat and cow ripples along the way. And then there we are. Let's lift our right leg up. Bending the knee dog at the high fire joints. And through to the lunge. And let's come up in the warrior number 1, or it could be the high lunge. Breathing into that circle of breath. And then we're going to twist to the right arms parallel to the floor. And floating your left hand down to the floor. And if you have your left heel grounded, you can turn the heel up now, a long little lunge twist. And a big reach around with that right arm to step forward. Deep breath. Concave back, which is essentially a deep breath. And then let's step back right away with the left leg again. And we'll go to that twisting pose of Konasana, right arm inside, maybe holding the ankle, twisting to the left. And then if you've got your hand on the floor of the ankle, pulling it up to the elbow on the knee, pulling up through that left arm. And then we'll all pull up through that left arm into the warrior two, really pulling to the left and then reaching to the right. Check the alignment of that right knee. And here we are, warrior number two. Breathing. And then let's reach back out into the side angle, maybe this time taking that left arm over the ear. So you can have the elbow on the knee or maybe making your way down. The traditional place is the right arm behind the right leg, with the right leg pressing into the arm, though you can do any version you want. And the big reach around with the left arm, turning to the lunge, we're going to Matsyendrasana. Walking the right foot a little left, bringing the left knee under, Matsyendrasana. Swinging the angle just a little to the corner so you can see as we continue on here. All right, so we have the right leg crossed over, Matsyendrasana, we'll twist to the right. Inhale, lots of space, exhale and twist. And back to the center. And then we're going to the sitting figure four. So bringing that left leg out, foot on the floor. Heel is more or less, with hair in my face today, more or less in front of the left sitting bone. And right leg crossed over, leaning back as much as you need to on your hands, especially as we start. Feeling a lift forward and up. And then let's see if we can take that right arm up and over, getting the arm into the arch of the right foot and twisting to the left. So you can be leaning back off the vertical. You can just put your right arm on hand on the floor, however it works out. And we're twisting left. There is a down and aroundness to this twist. And then coming back to the center, reaching through the triangle, holding behind your left thigh or over the knee. And coming up and over forward. And up. All right, now we're going to get hold of our right leg. Maybe you can get hold of the foot, maybe just behind the leg somewhere. Straighten out that right. So another option is to put that right leg on the floor and just straighten out the left and do a forward bend if you don't feel like being here in a sort of one-legged V-sitness. All right, so somewhere here, We're breathing out through that right heel. Breathing out through the top of the head. And then we will bring that right leg down. Deep breath. And as you're ready, making your way to downward facing dog. Ah. All right, so here we all are, downward facing dog. And let's go through the Vinyasa any version if you want. And then we'll go around on the left. Lifting the left leg up. Bending the knee dog at the high fire height. And through to the lunge. Coming up in the warrior number 1. Virabhadrasana number 1. Or it could be the high lunge. And then we'll twist to the left, arms parallel to the floor. And floating that right hand down. And turning your right heel up if you're in the warrior 1 into the low lunge. And a big reach around with the left arm to step forward. Into the concave back, inhale and exhale. Take another breath or two here in the forward bend. And then we'll step back with the right leg, coming into our twisted Konasana. And so we're going to twist up to the right. Having that left hand wherever it needs to be on the floor, on your ankle. Maybe it's already up on the if you're not with the elbow on the knee yet, pulling up and coming there. And then we'll reach back with that right arm to come up in the warrior 2. Pulling back to the right, reaching out to the left. Warrior number 2. And settling into the pose, but I guess we don't truly settle because we're always renewing with every breath and every moment. And dance warrior. And into the side angle pose again. Maybe taking the right arm over the ear. Do the same version with the reaching out arm if you want. Maybe going lower. Maybe going all the way to the traditional form with your left arm behind the left leg. Pressing the left leg back into the arm. And then a big reach around with that right arm, coming into Matsyendrasana with the left leg crossed over. And then we will twist to the left. Inhale, lots of space, exhale, and back to the center. Then into the sitting figure four with the left leg crossed over the right. So the right leg comes up, it's about at a right angle with the heel across from the sitting bone. You can lean back into the arms any amount. Taking a few breaths, getting settled in here. Lift forward and up. And we're going to twist to the right. Bringing that left arm across, arm into the arch of the foot if you can, maybe on the floor. And so this twist, there's a lengthen through the spine, but we're not necessarily struggling to stay vertical. It can be a little more easily down and around. And coming back to the center. And then we'll reach through the triangle behind the leg or across the knee. And coming up and over. And up. And then we're going to get hold of our left leg. Maybe you can get the foot anywhere along the back of the leg is fine. Extending that left leg out to straight. Or maybe you're bringing the left leg on the floor and doing more of a forward bend with one or both, with just the left leg, or maybe both legs straight. Meanwhile, with our leg up in the air, reaching through the left heel, reaching through the top of the head. Breathing. And then we'll bring the left leg down. We're going to slide both those legs out to Vinyasa, the angle pose to straddle. Giving a lift up from behind, big reach between the inner thighs, coming forward and over. You can push from behind, hands on the legs, hands in front, whatever works. And up. And then we'll bring those legs in and let's go to Namaste, the boat pose. With both legs extended out in front. So remember, they don't have to be straight. You can end up with the shins parallel to the floor. You can even just have the toes touching or hovering there. All right, so here we are. Whatever assistance from the arms, behind the legs, on the floor you want. Reaching out through the feet, reaching up through the top of the head. He's changing what version you're doing as we try to stay a little longer. And then we'll bring those legs down. Let's Baddha Konasana once again. Coming forward and over. Bringing those legs in. So we are going to make it to the pigeon. So getting whatever you want for that. So there's always the low road, just from sitting here, bringing that right leg forward. Or if you would like to come along with me and fly to the pigeon, let's fly to the pigeon. All right, coming up and downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here. Arriving in this moment, this downward facing dog. And then we'll lift the right leg up. Bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. And then flying to the pigeon. Right knee to the right elbow into the pigeon. Really stretching back through the left leg, lengthening out the front of the left hip. Taking a few breaths here in the cobra action, the high pigeon. And then coming forward and over as you're ready. Still feeling that reach back through the left leg. It should be a little easier on the back leg once we come forward. Nope. And we will go to the other side. All right, so when you're coming up in downward facing dog. Here we are. And let's lift the left leg up. Bending the knee, dog at the high fire hydrants. And then flying to the pigeon. And taking a few breaths, feeling like a cobra in the high pigeon. Lengthening out the front of the right leg, stretching the front of the right leg. Feeling that back bend we're doing from the top of the head out the right foot. And then coming forward, lengthening out along the floor, lengthening out along the skin. And up, taking our way out of the pigeon and down to the floor. And we will do a bridge pose. So if you want, you can get your block and do a supported bridge pose, or maybe the combination. I'll do the combination. I think we all know what the combination is, but maybe we don't. So in the combination bridge pose, get the block and do the block under the sacrum and slide the legs out straight. And then we'll be here for a little bit. And then we're going to bend the knees and lift up in the bridge pose. So I'll talk as if you're coming along with me on this combination bridge pose. So here we are, we're stretched long on the block, taking a couple more breaths here on the block. And then bending the knees, making those feet hip distance apart. And we'll lift up off the block into the bridge pose.
Downside of this combination is depending on how the block was under there, you might not be able to do the interlocked fingers. We don't always need to do the interlocked fingers. And then we bring ourselves back down onto the block and slide the legs back out to straight. And we'll take a few more breaths doing our bridge posing, if you're still bridge posing. And bending the knees, making our way off your block, holding down. Landing on the floor. And then considering, is there anything else you need before Shavasana? Maybe a happy baby, maybe a legs to the side. Let's see, if you want me to give you a suggestion, I'm going to do wide apart feet, legs to the side. So my feet are at the edge of the mat. I'm going to drop the knees over to the right. This is the version where the left leg doesn't end up touching the right leg. And through the center, over to the left. And back to the center and into Shavasana. And as usual, there's not really much time on the clock for Shavasana, but you can stay here as long as you like. You can also lengthen out a minute or so by really feeling every moment of every breath. And then taking back into your body, into the room, moving the fingers and toes, circling the wrists and ankles, stretching the arms up a little bit. Bend your knees. Gently make your way up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with the long and spacious spine. Another moment sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming.